What's up, guys? This is Jack the Ripper. Now, today, excuse me, today I'm not going to be gaming, and I'm not going to be making a video about me playing a game or something. I wanted to give you guys a heads up that I want to share something with you guys personally. And what I'm about to tell you is what's inspired me to do what you're seeing right now on this video. At the start of this video, this is going to be episode 1. I'm going to be starting my own series about the personal nightmares that I have whenever I sleep at night sometimes. There's not going to be an episode every day or every week or so. It's whenever I have a nightmare that I feel is worthy enough that I can share with every one of you, it's going to go on to this series. This series is going to be called My Nightmares. And I'm going to run this in seasons just like I've been doing for Metal Gear Online. And just a quick update on that, we're going to be starting Season 7 here really shortly. So look forward to that in the near future. But back on subject. I just got inspiration to do this literally this morning when I woke up because of the nightmare that I just had last night. It is the most random thing that I've ever experienced when I was asleep. It's pretty creepy to me. I don't know if it'll seem as creepy when I tell you this story, but for me personally, having experienced this while I was sleeping, it scared the hell out of me. Pardon my language. But I think it's worthy enough to share, and I want this to be the start of my own series called My Nightmares. And the screen that you're seeing in the background, I'm going to be using this, unless I find somewhat of a better background I can use. And this is a game called Horror Stories, but we're not going to be playing that. Maybe after I finish this series, I'll actually go aside and maybe make a video of it. Or maybe during seasons, I'll maybe make a video on it during, in between seasons or whatever. But what you're about to hear is going to be something that I just experienced last night when I was sleeping. And I got inspiration to do this literally just this morning. So this is Season 1, Episode 1, the series start of My Nightmares. So I don't know how long these are going to run. They could be really short, they could be really long, or they could be somewhere in between, but I just want you to bear with me depending on how long or short they are. I don't want anyone to be upset whether they're too long or they're too short, because you got to remember, whenever people have nightmares, sometimes they can't remember every vivid detail about the whole nightmare. They can only remember so much. But every time I have one of these, as soon as I wake up the next morning, if I still remember most of what happened, I immediately write it down in a notebook, literally, that I keep right here next to me. That way I can remember as much as possible, and that I can start making these into little short horror stories for you here on YouTube. And these are my personal experiences that I've experienced. So without further ado, I want to tell you guys about the nightmare I just had last night that inspired me to do this series. So, here we go. I don't remember exactly what I was doing, but all I remember was I was in some sort of house. I've never seen this house before, and it wasn't like a perfectly straight house like you see when you're driving on a street. But like, let's say you were getting to like a corner to turn left or turn right. Sometimes you'll see a house that's like slanted to like match the curb, like where you're turning from. It was like in a corner house like that was kind of angled instead of being a straight, complete house. So I don't remember much, but what I do remember was I was hanging out with some friends, and I don't want to name names because I don't really want to put anyone out there like that. But I don't remember what we were all doing, but all I know is that we were hanging out at this house. And I was hanging out on the front porch. Like, I guess I went outside to get some air or something. But all I remember was I was outside, I was just kind of getting some air. And it's nighttime. I gotta bear in mind that. I'm looking down the street while I'm on the front porch, and I see something across the street, but like it's a little ways down on the opposite end of where the sidewalk is. I see something moving down there in the distance, and it starts coming down the street towards my direction. And it looks like it has like a shrub or like a bush for a body. But it's not moving very fast. Like it's running every couple of feet or so, and then it stops and puts itself down, and tries to act like a bush or a shrub. It stays still for a short period of time, and then it gets up and moves again. Excuse me. And I have no idea what it is, but I'm kind of just like, I'm not freaked out or anything. I'm kind of just watching it, and because it's really weird, I've never seen that before. And as it starts getting closer to where the house that I'm at is, it sees me, and it immediately starts very slowly running towards me from across the street. So the people that I'm hanging out with, they actually see it too. They come outside and they see this thing running towards us. So we immediately all get into the house, and we close and lock the door behind us. And there's a shade on the front window of the front door, that like covers like the glass window, that's the small glass window that's on the front door, just so people from outside can't see inside. So I close that shade just so the thing can't see us, whatever it is. But I leave like just a small little crack, just so I can at least try to see with a little bit of my eye, like what the hell this thing is. And honestly, I have no idea what it is, but I've never seen this thing in my life, and it really scared the hell out of me. And it gets to the door, and bear in mind you, I'm looking out with just a teensiest little crack, just to try to see if I can see what it is. It stops at the front door, and all I can see is the little bush/shrub body, whatever it is. And all I notice is that it just stands at the front door. It's like maybe a good 5.5 feet tall. I can't quite remember how tall it was, but all I know is that it just stands at the front door, and it just starts breathing like really, really heavily. And then out of nowhere, as it starts breathing, I see it trying to maybe poke like its head out of the top of the little bush thingy that it has on its body. The head never comes out, but all I see is two like demonic eyes, like just peering at me from the window. When I know it can't see me through the crack, but for some reason, like, there's like a small piece of my mind that like is just telling me that it can. So as I see its eyes, they're like, it's kind of hard to describe, but it's like a pair of black and white eyes that just like stare at me like really, really, really sharp. They have like a demonic stare where they're not blinking. And as soon as I see its eyes, it lets out the most horrible, fearful, blood-curdling scream I have ever heard in my entire life. Now, right after I hear this, I jolt out of my sleep, but not fully awake, just barely. Like I'm just barely like getting back from out of my head. But as I slowly wake up, for some reason, like I'm not waking up like I should. It's almost like this thing, whatever this is just pulled me back into the dream, and I instantly just fall right back asleep again. As soon as I wake up, I'm instantly back asleep. Like it just yanked me right back in. And we don't know how long it stood there, but eventually it leaves and goes away. And then for some reason, I guess after that, after it went away, I wake up again. But for some reason I can't stay awake, and I literally just fall right back asleep again. And when I fall back asleep, it's almost like there was like a little time flash forward, just by a little bit. Like maybe, I don't know if it was the next morning or if it was a couple days later, but all I know is this time it was in the daytime. And in the daytime, I was walking on the street, and it seemed like a normal day, and for some reason there was no one on the street, but it was a nice day, there was nothing going on. And then I see two of these things this time. Instead of one, I see two. And when they immediately see me, they start running after me again, and I run away, and I try to take cover in this building. And as soon as I take cover of this building, there's two random guys, I've never seen them before in my life, were actually in the building. So we try to barricade the building up because they know what these things are. So after I meet them and everything, they start telling me a little bit about these things. They tell me they don't know what they're called, but all they know is that if one of these things catches you, you instantly like you see like a spirit almost of like a woman fly out of the body of whatever this thing is, and it literally immediately flies right at you. And as soon as it gets right in front of you, you instantly black out, and you wake up in a place completely unknown. Like you're almost like put in a trance, you could say. And you hardly know what's going on, but you know you're there. And as soon as you wake up in this place, you have the spirit of this woman like there with you, and she's constantly asking you over and over and over again if you have the item, if you have her item that she has, that she owns. And what these two gentlemen were telling me is that if you don't have an offering or something to give her, then she's gonna kill you. So I didn't experience this personally, but this is what they told me. But for some reason, like I had like a little vision of like this actually happening to me. I don't know if I was like maybe hallucinating or something, but I actually got to sort of experience this, but without actually experiencing it. It was kind of like I got to peek behind the curtain, you could say, and actually see what they were talking about in detail. But after they tell me this bizarre thing about this so-called woman or whatever these damn figures are that are outside, for some reason they break into the building somehow, and all I can see is like I'm panicking and I'm struggling to like climb on stuff to get away. And it's almost like these things originally didn't care that I was in there. All they just saw were those two guys that were there, and they immediately just start trying to kill them. And these guys are trying the hardest to fight these things off. But one thing I forgot to mention was these this like bush things. Apparently, whatever this woman and this bush thing have in common, I have no idea. But for some reason, these things can shapeshift too. And I don't know why, but whenever they broke into the building, I was expecting the bush creatures to come in. But instead, what actually came in were like the only thing I can even remotely describe what these things had looked like were close to somewhat hellhounds, like from hell. And they immediately start trying to tear these guys up, and they're trying their hardest to fight these things off. And eventually, these things get too overwhelming for these guys. And the first thing I see is these hounds or whatever they are, like literally just tearing the ears off of these guys' bodies, and they're like screaming in agony and pain. And there's like nothing I can do to help them because I was gonna die too if I tried to help. So while they're gnawing on these guys and tearing them to shreds, I immediately try to get the hell out of the building. And as I'm running away to the edge of this property that I'm at, I get into this car. And as soon as I get into this car, I see these things like immediately rushing at me from inside the building where they killed those guys. I immediately get into this car and I drive off, and I drive the hell out of town. And as soon as I drive out of town, it's not long after that I fully wake up from my sleep, and I'm like just jolting. But as soon as I wake up, I'm like paralyzed for a minute. I'm like paralyzed in my sleep. But eventually it fades, like shortly after I wake up it fades, and then I'm fine. But as soon as I woke up, I had fear, like, seeping off of me. And as soon as I woke up, I was just so grateful that this wasn't real. I don't know why or how I even dreamt of a story like this. But I promise you, like, I'm not telling you this from a book or from an old story that I heard. This is literally my personal experience of what I went through last night while I was sleeping. This was a real nightmare. But that's how it played out. And then I woke up and I immediately got inspiration to want to start my own other series, because Metal Gear Online is ending after Season 8, which is going to be finished in January. But I immediately got this idea to want to start this, of my personal experiences with things that I dream of at night that I feel like are worthy enough to actually be a part of this. So I wanted to share with you guys this story. You know, I wanted you guys to hear this from me. It is by far one of the most creepiest things I've ever dreamt of at night. So, with that being said, I want to end this little short story, My Nightmare First video. This is Season 1, Episode 1, series called My Nightmares, or I might just call it Nightmares 2. I don't know exactly what I want to call it, but it'll be one of these titles. But I hope you guys enjoyed. If you can relate, or if you had similar experiences like this with maybe nightmares that you've had in the past or maybe even recently, you can leave a comment down below and I would love to read any of your stories. If not, that's okay. I just wanted to get this out there because I wanted someone to know. And also because, when you have dreams and nightmares and stuff, you can remember them for a certain amount of time. But eventually, as time goes on, you'll most likely forget those. But sometimes you'll have those that stick with you. But honestly, I think another reason I want to do this was because whenever I have nightmares like this, I want to have them on YouTube. So just in case I do forget them, I'll have a place where I can always remember it. So with that being said, I'm going to end this episode 1 of Nightmares. I hope you guys enjoyed. You can leave a comment down below or let me know what you thought of what I just told you. This is my personal experience. I just want to throw that out there again. So I hope you guys enjoyed. And like I said, I don't know exactly how I'm going to do the episode wise of this because, some days you have them and some days you don't. But if I start having these a lot more, I'll be sure to upload an episode. So I don't know how frequent the episodes are going to be, so just bear with me here. But rest assured, we all have nightmares, and I'm going to share mine with you. So look forward to that. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I look forward to the rest of season 1. If things end up working out, unfortunately, which is kind of a weird way to use it because I really don't want to have nightmares, but ones I do have, I want to share. But I'm hoping to try to make this just like Metal Gear Online, where I'm going to do 5 episodes in 1 season. And I don't know how long I want to run this thing, but the more I have, the more you'll know. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Look forward to episode 2, hopefully sometime soon, if I have another story I want to share with you guys. And I'll see you guys in the next episode.